Talk 1590 WAKR. Saw a story that kind of popped up here, and I know they were getting on it on this weekend here, but some students from St. Vincent St. Mary, and I would say these kids have to qualify as near geniuses to get this kind of deal, are competing against university and other high school students here with NASA in a very interesting program. So Tony and I saw the story and figured, let's get the fellow on board who's serving as a faculty advisor and kind of shepherding all these students through these kids. Bob Engels is the head of the science department at St. Vincent St. Mary. Bob, good morning to you.
Good morning.
First off, a little bit of detail from you. I see that this is called the Student Launch Project from NASA. This truly is rocket science stuff, right?
Yes, it is.
So what exactly is it, and how did St. Vincent St. Mary get involved?
I'll start with how we got involved. We have several rocket teams at the school that compete nationally in a rocket competition, and if you place high enough in that program, once you get invited to nationals, you get an opportunity to submit a proposal to NASA for the student launch program. And last year we finished 16th in the nation, so we were given the opportunity to submit a proposal. And I guess the student launch program is a year-long or academic year-long project where the students have to design a rocket that can go a mile high. And during that flight, they have to have the rocket have some sort of science experiment or some sort of engineering project on board that rocket, and have it all returned back to Earth and have it all be reusable so they could repeat it again.
I got to ask, how do you define what a science project or an engineering project is? Could it be something that just takes weather readings? Because I would imagine to a lot of kids these days that might be boring.
Yes, they can do some sort of science experiment on board. I know ones in the past have checked the effect of G-forces on seedlings or on seeds and things like that. And I guess our students decided they want to do something on the engineering realm with unmanned aerial vehicles, since that was a hot topic. And they went the engineering route, and they proposed to NASA to design and build a rocket-deployed blimp.
We're talking,
and that was pretty cool.
We're talking with Bob Engels from St. Vincent St. Mary Science Department Chairman, and this is really kind of an honor. You said you were placed 16th, so you were able to submit to NASA. Exactly how many high schools are involved in this, and do you go up against university competition?
Yes and no. In the rocket competition itself, there's up to 750, and I believe there were about 700 that were in the competition last year. Those are high schools from across the country, and then the top 100 get invited to D.C. in May, and then they compete against each other directly.
I got to show my age here, Bob. When I was a kid, I was one of those Estes rocket kids that you would get the kit, and they would have the little solid rocket propellant booster, and you'd set them off basically in a field from behind.
I did the same thing.
I got to imagine this is a lot different these days, or is it still the basics?
It starts with that idea. In the competition, the kids have to actually design and build the rocket, out of cardboard tubes. Not allowed to use kits. And the competition that they were in, the rocket has to hit a certain altitude and get up and down in a certain time, and then they put weight constraints on the rocket, recovery restraints. They make it a fairly difficult engineering challenge for them.
I was going to say this is not the type of kit you and I have when the tail fins were already like pre-cut balsa wood. I mean you're talking about your students now, and you're watching them do this, so you can't be too hands-on here. You're kind of a guide here for them, but this really is the germ of their ideas, right?
Most assuredly, yes. I'm not allowed to touch it. I'm only allowed to advise.
So what are they coming to you with the type of problems? When are they coming to you say, you know what, Mr. Engels, I'm really stumped on this one. Which direction should I look at?
Well, in the SLP, the problems that came up yesterday, it's difficult to find a blimp small enough that they can fly outdoors, so they've got a wind problem, and they told me, we need to put bigger motors on board to drive the propellers. And I tried to explain to them, as you put bigger motors, you need bigger batteries, and all of a sudden you have a weight problem.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to deal with that this morning.
So they're basically they're in the old days they would have taken out the slide rule. Now they've got the calculator trying to figure out just exactly how much that's going to impact their rockets, right?
Right. So they've done all the calculations for the lift that the balloon or the blimp can take. So now they got to figure out how big of a motor can they put on there, and then is that going to have enough thrust to be able to fly that outdoors. So they're learning engineering is a give and take. So it's. If you gain something in one area, you lose something somewhere else. So.
A lot of experimentation. Where is Launchpad for St. Vincent St. Mary? Where do you guys send your rockets off from? And do you change up places to do it just because there might be different atmospheric conditions?
Well, we're more concerned with FAA, and we're allowed to. We fly out of a field that Marchetta Realty gives us. It's a realty company. They have an open field out in Medina on Wilbur Road where we normally launch all of our competition rockets. When we fly the big guy for the SLP, Skybusters, which is the National Association of Rocketry Club, I believe has a field. I think it's in Aurora. We haven't been out there yet, but there they can get FAA clearance so that we can fly. Because the rocket they're designing is about 10 to 12 feet long and about 6 inches in diameter. So we'll need to make sure there aren't any aircraft in the area.
I got to imagine Rick McQueen might be interested in hearing about this, but he's not going to free up any space at Akron-Canton Airport.
No, probably not.
So, Bob, where do you go from here? You're obviously in the situation here where there's a lot of learning going on, and as you said, it's engineering give and take, trying to make these rockets work to what NASA wants to do. The finals, championship rounds in April of next year?
Yeah, April of next year we'll travel to Huntsville and hopefully demonstrate it. Right now they're in what they call a preliminary design review phase where they're starting to put hard numbers on their designs and convince NASA that this is doable. And then they'll walk through several other design phases, a critical design phase and a flight readiness review, and then hopefully by that time NASA will be satisfied with the numbers and that we can then come down and fly it for them in April.
Now, this is really
with
cool.
all the other universities and high schools.
Well, beat them, Bob.
We're going to try.
Bob Engels, who's the head of the science department at St. Vincent St. Mary. It really is rocket science going on with these kids. I'm so excited for them. And again, it's kind of a flashback for me, just being a kid playing with a kid and those old Estes models. I'm glad to hear the basics are still the same, but I'm also glad to hear it's really upgraded. I never would have imagined making a rocket that big to get up in the air for that high.
Like I didn't say before, it's a really neat project because it encompasses not just the engineering and the science, but the students have to learn how to deal with time constraints. NASA has given them a grant for the rocket and the payload, but the students themselves have to find out ways to raise money to get down to Huntsville and back, so they got to find transportation money and hotel money. So they're out there they're knocking on doors of STEM companies looking for sponsorship and things like that. So it's a full project. They have to design a website for this. So it's really neat. It takes a whole bunch of different talents from the students and real-world experience for them.
Very interesting stuff. Well, Bob, good luck to you. Good luck to your kids, too. We look forward to keeping in touch as you go through April here and get more of a sense as to where the kids are going, up in the air, right?
Yep, definitely. It's like we say on Rocket Team, it's a blast. So
that's a great way to end it. Bob, thank you much. Good luck to you and the kids.
All right, thanks a lot for talking to us.
You betcha. 1590 WAKR. Bob Engels is the head of the science department, chairman there at St. Vincent St. Mary, and this is all about their student launch project that they're doing with the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. You know them. They're the ones that put up the shuttle and all that stuff. This is cool stuff.